Yeah, I can go.
I love it.
Let me know when you guys are ready. Good to go. Hi, Abdul. How are you? In the middle here. Just happy fight week. What are your thoughts on Brunson and his chaotic style?
Поздравляем тебя с неделей боя. И скажи, какие у тебя мысли о твоем сопернике и о его хаотичном образе боя?
I think he's a good fighter, so he have good heart. He fight, so to end до конца дерется, скажите.
So he fights till the very end.
I saw a statistic that active Chechen fighters in UFC are 46-1. That includes you. Why are you guys so good? Speak to the strength of your region.
По статистике за UFC бьются, в UFC бьются 46 чеченцев, включая тебя, и у вас очень хорошая статистика боев. Подскажи, в чем ваш секрет успеха?
Я не могу на это как-то ответить, может быть, не знаю, потому что мы с гор, что-то в этом роде, или потому что у нас была война, и как будто мы дети войны, из-за этого, наверное.
So it's difficult to answer, like for all of us, but probably the reason is that we were born in the region where there was a war, and also we were born in the region and raised where there are mountains, and our soul is pretty brave and hard.
And you're coming into this one a huge favorite. Fans have come to know you for your highlight finishes. Is that something you chase, or do those finishes come naturally?
Ты всегда заканчиваешь бой очень ярко. Это то, что тебе каждый раз приходится, как бы, это тяжело тебе дается, или это получается естественным путем?
Да, это получается естественным путем. Знаете как, hard training and then so in fight it's easy.
So it's natural and that just the result of hard training.
And I know you have a fight this week, all eyes set on this weekend, but beyond this with a big win, are there other names, other fights that you think would be great for you in the UFC?
Помимо твоего боя на этой неделе, как ты думаешь, какой бой будет зрелищным? No ideas.
We'll wait for the call out afterwards. And then last one for me, I asked you about Chechnya, 46-1. One of those guys is Khamzat Chimaev. Big fight coming up against Sean Strickland. Any insight, any idea how that one goes down?
Что ты думаешь о предстоящем бое Хамзата Чимаева?
So I think Khamzat gonna win Strickland and maybe he make him submission.
Привет, Абдул-Рахман. Короткий вопрос от меня. Dana White Contender Series 30 секунд. В твоем прошлом бою, в твоем дебюте на UFC 33 секунды. Если я правильно считаю, сейчас ожидается финиш за 36 секунд.
Может быть, за 40.
Тоже план. Удачи в субботу.
Спасибо большое.
Just two quick ones from me. Jake mentioned what a big favorite you are. I think you're, if not the biggest favorite on the card. Do you pay attention to any? Do you pay attention to those odds? Do you realize that you're such a big favorite with the odds makers?
Он говорит, что у тебя много фанатов, многие люди за тебя болеют. Для тебя важно вот это внимание людей, которые они тебе уделяют?
Да, конечно, это очень важно.
Yeah, of course, it's very important.
Особенно, да, я знаю, что многие болеют за меня там, в Чечне, в Турции.
Especially he said that there are many, he has many fans back home in Chechnya, and so it's very important for him.
Do you feel more pressure being such a massive favorite?
Чувствуешь ли ты давление от того, что столько людей на
тебя?
Не,
это наоборот дает как странную такую энергию.
No, it gives him energy.
Great, thank you.
Your Dana White Contender Series fight lasted 30 seconds. Your debut in the UFC lasted 33 seconds. Do you have a desire, a personal desire, to showcase your skills or to show your skills to UFC fans and to those people around the world? or is it always an aim and a desire to finish the fight as quickly as possible?
Твои предыдущие бои были 30 секунд, на Contenders 33 секунды. Хочешь ли ты в этот раз показать свои навыки в течение более длительного боя, или твоя задача также закончить очень быстро?
If Brendon will run, then maybe fight will be a little bit more. Then I can show to you more skills.
And given the fact that we haven't seen much of your time in the UFC, being that your fights have been so short, can you talk to us a little bit about what some of your strengths are? What do you feel your personal strengths are? And if you feel so inclined, can you talk about what some of your weaknesses are, some things that you need to learn and improve on?
Так как те бои, которые мы с тобой видели, они были очень короткими, расскажи нам о твоих сильных сторонах в ведении боя и, может быть, даже о каких-то твоих слабых сторонах.
Слабых сторонах не буду говорить, а вот сильных,
He's not going to talk about the weak points.
да, сильных ударки в борьбе. Борьбу я пока что не так хорошо показал. Да и в ударку тоже. Ну, посмотрим. То есть время покажет, какая у меня ударка и какая у меня борьба.
So striking and fighting, but you'll see it this fight.
That's very fair. Lastly, do you have a prediction for this fight?
Есть ли у тебя какие-то, извините, пожалуйста, предвидишь ли ты, как закончится этот бой?
I think its fight will be like last two fights. So same, striking and same wrestling, or maybe I can knock him out. Yeah. So.
I have one question. Just one. How are you enjoying the U.S. and Las Vegas? Like, besides coming here for war and for training, like, how are you enjoying it over here?
Нравится ли тебе Лас-Вегас, вне зависимости от как бы UFC, да, просто как сам город, нравится ли тебе США, нравится ли тебе Лас-Вегас?
I like in Las Vegas just center, so more I like Florida.
Okay.
Thank you.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, go birds.
Hi, Brunson, welcome. Here, the mic. Yeah. Getting back in there after a tough loss, how has this camp been different for you now that you've had some time to reflect on coming off of 2 losses?
Voltando a uma luta após de derrota, como é que foi para você? Qual o foco do camp vindo de derrotas para voltar a vencer?
Primeiramente, é um prazer estar aqui novamente e respondendo a sua pergunta. Eu e meu time fizemos um grande trabalho para que no sábado à noite a gente volte ao caminho das vitórias.
First and foremost, it's a pleasure to be here, so thank you for having me here. Myself and the team, we put on some great work to get back into the winning column on Saturday.
Has this been the toughest camp of your career so far?
Foi o camp mais difícil da tua carreira até hoje?
Não, eu tive camps muito mais difíceis, mas esse a gente fez um trabalho incrível, eu e meu time, né, juntamente com meu time, a Brazilian TKO, com o meu mestre André Dida, né, meu mestre Sapo de Jiu-Jitsu, Jean Patrick, Wagner Caldeirão e o time todo. A gente fez um grande trabalho e eu vou mostrar isso no sábado à noite, uma grande vitória para o meu time e para o Brasil.
No, I've had tougher camps, but the work that we did at Brazilian TKO with Dida, and also with Sapo for Jiu-Jitsu and Wagner and Patrick as well. I mean, we had a lot of stuff worked on so we can go back into winning.
Yep. A lot of hype around your opponent. He's never made it out of the first round. Lots of finishes. He is coming in as a big favorite on this card. Is that something you're aware of about what a massive favorite he is with the odds makers?
Teu oponente tem hype muito grande, o cara nunca saiu do primeiro round, o cara tá sempre acostumado com isso, as pessoas estão olhando para ele, se te incomoda, como é que você vê o hype que o cara vem?
Cara, eu já lutei, né, com vários caras que têm um grande hype. Eu também já tive um grande hype, já fui um cara invicto, né? E já me ganharam, né? E eu vou ganhar esse cara no sábado à noite e vou mostrar para o UFC, para os fãs, né? E para mim mesmo, para todo mundo que duvida de mim, que eu mereço estar aqui ou não, porque eu estou aqui no UFC, eu vou mostrar no sábado à noite.
Man, I've fought guys with hype that fought guys that were undefeated. Myself, I had the hype. I've been undefeated once, and I'm going to show people with a win on Saturday why I'm here, why I deserve to be here, and I'll show that to people Saturday night.
Last one for me. We did have your opponent in here earlier, and he asked, about his quick finishes and how he hasn't really been put to that war. And he said, if Brunson runs for me, then maybe I'll get it into the second round. What is your game plan going into a guy that's probably going to be looking for that finish in the first round?
O cara estava aqui antes, conversou com eles e falaram sobre essa história de finalizar luta rápido no primeiro round e tal. E falou, bem, se ele correr de mim, então vai para o segundo round. Que comentário que você faz em relação a isso, você saber que o cara pensa assim?
Eu não vou correr dele, cara. Eu nunca corri de nenhum adversário que me colocaram, nem fora do UFC e nem aqui dentro do UFC. Eu lutei com todos, entendeu? Não é porque esse cara é invicto que eu tenho medo dele. Não, eu já fui invicto também, tá? E ele quer ganhar, é uma coisa. Eu preciso ganhar, é totalmente diferente. Então, ele nunca lutou com um cara igual eu, meu brother.
I'm not going to run away from him. I've never run away from anybody here in the UFC or in other promotions. Again, I fought with people who were hype. I fought with people who were undefeated. I've been undefeated myself. I want to tell you, there's a big difference. He wants to win. I need to win.
That kind of alludes to it. Are you feeling extra pressure when you say you need to win? Is that just because you want to get back onto the winning path, or are you feeling extra pressure coming in with 2 losses that you do need to win for your career at the UFC?
E tem isso que você mencionou do fato de você precisar ganhar. Existe uma pressão extra em você pela situação, ou é uma questão de realmente você já, não, eu preciso mesmo? É só uma questão de precisar, você está ciente disso, ou tem uma pressão adicional?
Cara, além da pressão de eu ter que ganhar ou não uma luta, eu sei o trabalho que eu fiz, né, para buscar essa vitória. Então, eu não mereço menos que isso. Eu quero sábado à noite mostrar todo o meu trabalho, do meu time, né, mostrar todo o plano que a gente fez para sair com o braço erguido, é isso que eu vou fazer.
Besides the pressure, obviously, to having to win because of it, there's also the work that we put in. I want to show people the work that we put into this fight, and I want to show people my work and the work of my team that we put on to come out the win, and that's what we're going to do.
And oftentimes we hear from fighters that losses can be a good thing because they learn something out that they were maybe lacking or something that they missed. Are there things that you were able to take away from those 2 losses that you focused on in camp and that were able to aid in your preparation for this fight?
Muitas vezes a gente escuta de lutadores que uma derrota, ou até as derrotas, de uma maneira geral, são uma oportunidade de aprendizado que tornam eles lutadores mais cientes, mais perigosos, melhores. Que lições você, ou teve lições das derrotas que você teve recentemente que te trazem até o momento agora?
Cara, eu creio que todo atleta quando perde, ele tira algumas lições, né, da luta, do resultado. Mas perder é uma merda, ninguém quer perder. Né? Ninguém entra aqui para perder. Ninguém faz um camp de treinamento para perder. Todo mundo quer ganhar. Mas às vezes a derrota acontece. Sobe 2, um ganha e um perde. É assim, ou empata. Né? Perder é uma merda. E eu quero vencer, eu vim para vencer.
I think, listen, losing is shitty, right? You know, it's something that happens when 2 go up, 1 go down. I mean, there might be a draw or something, but it's always going to be someone in the losing end. But no athlete trains and fights to lose. So it's a shitty thing to actually lose a fight, but no one comes in there to lose.
And when you look across the cage at your competitor for this weekend, where do you see his major strengths and what are you expecting from him on Saturday?
Quando você olha do outro lado do octógono, ou seja, para sábado, o que você vê no teu oponente? O que você espera dele? O que você está vendo em termos de realmente ele como lutador? O que você vê nele?
Eu vejo que ele nada mais é como qualquer outro atleta que eu já lutei. Né? Eu já lutei com outros invictos, já tirei invencibilidade de vários. Né? Assim como já tiraram a minha, eu já fui invicto. Né? E por que não sábado à noite? Eu já fiz isso outras vezes dentro desse octógono. E eu vou fazer de novo. Entendeu? Eu fiz um grande trabalho para fazer isso e eu vou fazer isso acontecer no sábado à noite.
I've had great performances, just there, and I've seen things that we know what people bring into the table. And I've had great performances in the past. I trained for that, and that's what I'm going to do. I see him as an opponent that, brings stuff to the table, but I've done a lot of work to actually put in a great performance in the octagon, and that's what I'm going to do on Saturday.
I was going to say, I know you said you put a lot of work. I know you want to get back on the win column, but with all this work that you put into it, is a win enough on Saturday, or do you want to go out and get a decisive finish or put a exclamation mark on this victory?
Você falou em termos de colocar o trabalho que vocês fizeram para sair com uma vitória no sábado. Você acha que uma vitória é suficiente ou você quer realmente mandar uma mensagem e trazer uma coisa mais para o sábado com essa vitória? Você acha uma vitória convincente?
Cara, eu quero simplesmente fazer a melhor luta do evento. Eu quero que quando acabe o evento, todo mundo fale de mim. Eu vim para buscar isso. Eu treinei para esse camp buscando isso. Pode ter a luta principal, como em evento, o que for. Mas eu quero que no final do dia todo mundo fale de mim. Porra, o Brendson Ribeiro deu um show. O Brendson Ribeiro veio aqui e fez uma guerra. Tirou a invencibilidade, mais um dentro desse octógono. É isso que eu vim buscar.
I want people to be talking about me when the fight is over. I want people to remember it. I want people to say, look at the performance he had. I know there might be a main event and a co-main event and everything, but I want people to remember. I want people to say, hey, listen, Brunson had a great performance. And he actually, that's why I came here for, and that's what I'm going to look for.
Tem tantas coisas acontecendo na minha vida pessoal e na minha vida profissional que, cara, eu sou um cara, como eu falei na outra entrevista ali, eu sou um cara realizado, irmão. Tanto na minha vida profissional e na minha vida pessoal. Então, o meu porquê é muito forte. Eu queimei o barco há muito tempo e a volta para casa vai ser no barco do inimigo. E eu vou mostrar isso no sábado à noite.
There's so much stuff happening, in my personal life and professional life. I've said this in other interviews, I'm already blessed and happy and fortunate to be where I am right now. I'm happy to be here, and I'll tell you what, for a while, I've burned the boat that I was on, and I'm coming back on the enemy's boat on Saturday.
Good luck on Saturday.
Can you talk to us about how you envision your your path to victory. How do you see yourself with your hand raised at the end of the fight this weekend?
Você poderia falar para a gente qual é o caminho para a vitória? Como é que você visualiza a vitória vindo? Como é que você vê as coisas que você tem para fazer para sair com o braço levantado no sábado?
É fazer uma luta inteligente, né, agressiva o tempo todo, né, ter todas as respostas, né, porque ele tentar fazendo dentro do combate. Pô, fiz um grande trabalho. Eu estou muito feliz e motivado para sábado à noite.
Just again, happy to be here. And there's a lot of work that was done to put in throughout the camp, and I'm very happy and motivated to be there on Saturday to come in with a great work.
Thank you.
What's up, guys? Yeah, good, thank you. Good, good.
You want to start, Ken?
No worries.
You want me to?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Oh, hey, Chris, in the middle here. How you doing? Happy fight week.
Thank you, thank you. Looking forward to it.
And I mean, just talk to me about this fight. A lot of talk about you guys having trained together in the past and stuff. So overall, now that we're on fight week, what are your thoughts?
And not much, to be honest. I've done this before with a training partner. You know, it is what it is. This is business, you know. And the good thing is, fighting's a great equaliser. You know, we get to go out there and dish it out to each other on a Saturday night. So looking forward to it. Yeah.
And to confirm, he has not been to ATT this camp, correct?
No, he has. Yeah, he was there.
So
yeah.
you guys are actually training like alongside each other in the same room for this fight?
Yeah, he was in the same gym, and then we were in the sauna together. And like, I don't. A lot of people. I'm sorry if this comes across wrong, but a lot of people like you don't get what I'm doing, and me and Moicano do. Like, we have so much respect for each other that, you know, like, it's going to be fighting, and like I said, it's going to be an equaliser on Saturday night. Whoever wins, wins. And, you know, people can't fathom that, and that's why people like to watch, because people are not bred like me. Well, I'm on a different level.
And I understand ATT is a huge room, so you guys actually haven't been like working at all with each other for this camp, right? Even though you've been in the same room?
No, that would be cheating. So, yeah. ATT is so vast that it's almost like this, the Apex, you know, it's so big, we got so many different rooms, you know, we can keep it pretty private.
And I'm just wondering what the buzz is overall, ATT. Like, are they like excited for this, looking forward to this fight? Is there any like, I don't know, weirdness in the air? Does that make sense?
They obviously don't like it, but you know how big the UFC is, and it just sometimes has to happen. The UFC and American Top Team are quite close, I would presume. So, you know, they've done this millions of times, and they understand, and it's business at the end of the day, because it's my business, and their business is obviously to facilitate the fighters. So I'm very, very fortunate to have ATT like be able to work like that, because there was no picking and choosing who's the better fighter or who gets this and who gets that. It's straight down the middle. Everybody gets the same opportunity.
And I don't know how much you can take away from your guys' past work with each other, but just on paper, talk to me about this fight stylistically. A lot of fans are saying you bring like the dynamite, the explosivity. If it goes to the further rounds, it could favor Moicano maybe with experience. So what are your thoughts?
I definitely don't think it'll favour him later in the rounds. You know, I'm built for 5 rounds. I love 5 rounds. I feel like I get to express myself a little bit better when it comes to the 5 rounds. But yeah, I feel obviously he's a fantastic opponent. You know, unfortunately, he's a teammate. But listen, I'm absolutely ecstatic to be able to be stepping across the octagon for him, in front of him. Sorry. You know, what an opponent! Like the actual caliber of opponents he's had in the past, Jose Aldo, Islam Makhachev, like the resume is insane.
He's top 10 with a win. I assume that puts you there. Any idea what's next for you?
I'm not thinking any further into the future. Moicano Saturday, home Sunday, and that's all I've got planned.
Last one for me, and it's about the future, but immediately after the fight. You guys, no animosity? You guys good, hugging, shaking hands afterwards?
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely. He's a really nice guy. Like, I've spent a lot of time with him, and I think he's a brilliant guy, great individual, and I hope to God that he thinks the same. It's just business, and I'm sure he will. It's just, he's a professional.
Thank you.
As you mentioned, you know, it's part of the business, the gym. These sort of things will happen, but when it comes to coaches, is that just the normal? The coaches will just gravitate to the guys that they work with the most, or how does that selection happen between who's going to be in whose corner?
We've all got our own individual coaches. You know, there's a little bit of separation in the gym from different styles of coaches. So we've got strikers, grapplers, head coaches. You know, there's off the top of my head, I think there's 10, 15 plus coaches in that gym. So fortunately enough, a lot of our coaches were separated anyway, so we didn't have to make the decision.
And like you said, at the end of the day, when it's back at when the fight's over, you guys are gonna everything. It's not like you guys aren't friends now. You just focus. You got to focus on the fight.
Yeah.
Is this the sort of thing that that you see within the training as well? That the gym overall is just embracing both you guys, or do you see where people will not choose sides because they want the gym overall to win? But is that sort of a natural thing where will the gym just be supporting whoever wins and then as well supporting the guy that loses, or how does the overall gym structure change a little bit when a fight like this happens?
Yeah, I think it would be bad upon American Top Team to not do that. I think for them to support us both is like, it's a no-brainer to me. Like, anybody who thinks that they wouldn't support us is insane. ATT have been a lease of life for my MMA career, and that's why I went to ATT again, regardless of who I went with. And the conversations that I have with Dan and Richie at ATT, it's just as my home as it is Moicano's. And, they will support me all the way. And that's what a good gym does.
And I know this week he's an opponent, but this is a guy that I'm sure you've looked up to and you've watched his career. So when you think about him, his fight style over the past, what are some of the great things that you've seen about him as a training partner as well as just a fighter representing your gym?
Obviously, the caliber we talked about before, the caliber of opponents he's went through, and his grappling is exceptional. He's fucked me up many times in the gym when I first started going there. So, I learned a lot from him. He was kind enough to share some details. He's a good guy. And we're just going to fight on Saturday night. And I've accomplished so much in the last 5 years. I've gotten much better as a fighter over the last 5 years, because I wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't think I could beat Moicano.
And even with that, the UFC put you as a main event. How does that feel to be representing, at the top of the bill? And what does this mean for your career, headlining a UFC fight?
Jesus, it's amazing. Signing the posters, getting goosebumps thinking about it right now. It's like dreams come true. I've my training partner Robert, he said like a lifetime of work for this one moment. Like, people think it just comes like this. It doesn't. This is a lifetime. Like, I'm not talking like 2 years. I'm talking like my whole life. Since 2014, I've been dedicating myself to MMA, day in, day out, 4 hours a day, 7 days a week. My brain does not stop. And I'm always like thinking back to like what I could do better. I don't think I could do much better of my career. I've made so many good decisions. I've done the right things. I've always turned up to training when I didn't want to. I think me and Robert have trained 3 times a week for the last 10, 15 years. It's been insane.
And I'm sure you can think back to when you went to the gym for the first time, and now I'm sure there's young guys starting at the gym that are looking at you, looking at Renato, like you guys are the guys that they're looking up to. Do you appreciate the fact that now you got these young guys coming to look at you as a potential role model? Do you feel that now?
Oh, definitely. It's really nice, and it's like the circle of life almost. I mentioned on a podcast yesterday, Joe Pyfer main evented the first contender series of that bill. I main evented the following contender series, and it's followed in the same suit. Joe Pyfer main evented, knocked out his opponent last week, and now I'm main eventing this slot. So that's like the full circle if you really think about it.
But speaking of that, you brought up Joe Pyfer. Talk to me about that performance. What do you think about that? I don't think a lot of people thought that's what was going to happen in that fight.
I did. Unfortunately, Izzy's one of the best guys to watch in the divisions, but I just think he's up and coming. Knockout power. I knew he had the grappling. It was just insane to watch.
And I know you kind of talked on a little bit earlier about, this is just business, but you're headlining. You want to go out there. You want to have an incredible finish, or you want to have an incredible end of the fight that people are going to remember. But at the end of the day, this is somebody from your team. How do you stay focused? What do you tell yourself to go out there and push as hard as you can be, knowing that at the end of the day, this is somebody you're going to see the following week back at the gym?
Well, in the same instance, regardless of what you've just said there, is like, I'm a different person to many different people. I'm a father, I'm a husband, all these sorts of things. And then how can I differentiate myself from walking into the cage and being a barbarian, an animal, a fighter, and go home to my kids and my family? It's the same thing. I've got a switch. I'm numb when it goes in there, and I'm also free. When I walk into that octagon, I let the chains off. You know, in my sparring at ATT, all the sparring rounds I've done over, especially with MMA gloves, you're pulling your punches. You're not hitting hard. You're not trying to knock people out. Whereas when I walk into that octagon, I can let these chains off, and I can throw with vicious intent, and that's what I'm going to do.
And I'm sorry, I don't know this. Are the kids old enough to understand what Dad does? Do they watch your fights?
Well, yeah, they watch, but, you know, when it comes to, like, my daughter, she kind of recognises that, like, why does Dad get stopped in the street, and why do people want pictures? And I always remember it was a bit of a weird one. I was with my daughter and only my daughter, and I'm not a fan of taking a picture when there's not someone to hold my daughter or look after her, because I'm away from the camera, like away from looking after her. And the guy, I said, no photos, mate, because I've got my kid. And he's like, she could take it. And I was like, no, that's not happening. But yeah, I hope she understands. And the only thing I care about is if she thinks I'm a good person, whether I'm a good fighter or not, as long as she knows that I'm there for her 24/7, 7 days a week. And what I want to install my kids is that no matter the situation you are in your life, say, for instance, you're out drinking and you think, I can't phone my dad, he's going to kill me. Like, he'll be so angry. I would rather her phone me and understand that I'm trusting and worthy enough to go and pick her up, or go out of my way of a bit of a hassle to go and pick her up because she trusts me. And that's what I need.
That's awesome. That kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you were watching the UFC event last weekend when there was a moment when Demetrius Johnson is getting, they're showing a video of him going to the Hall of Fame, and he tells his girl, he said, this, because she always asks, why does everybody stop you, Dad? And he said, this is why everybody stops me. And she's like, oh, okay. So you kind of have one of your own little moments.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's such a crazy experience having kids, you know, absolutely amazing. Thank you.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
I was speaking with a few pals back in the UK today, and just a quick weather update. They said it's a very dreek day in Scotland today.
Pissing it down.
I would say that you are likely the face of Scottish mixed martial arts right now, and
I am.
a couple of questions for you. This is non-fighting related, but what was your favorite part or one of your favorite aspects of growing up in Scotland? And then can you transition and talk about what it's like representing the country as a whole?
One of my favourite things of growing up in Scotland would obviously be the scenery and the kind of patriotic symbols that we have, like the bagpipes and these sorts of things. They always bring me chills. They always bring me like sheer pride. And playing sports for your country and representing your country, like for instance when I went and played in France, played rugby. We represented Stirling County Rugby Club, and that was a Scottish team. So I always hold that near and dear to my heart, and that's why I wear the flag. You know, the flag. One thing as well, like the UFC don't allow you to change your shorts unless you change your country to match the colour of the shorts. And I wanted a different colour maybe 2 camps ago, and I was like, I'm not changing my flag. Like, why would somebody do that? Like, you're supposed to be representing your country. So whether I wanted purple shorts or yellow shorts, I ain't changing to Brazil. I'm not changing to all these different colours. I'm Scottish, so I'm going to have to deal with the black, the white, or the blue shorts. But if Dana White watches this, I've got a little bit of a design for my shorts. I want tartan shorts, so I'm sure that'll be a good one. I've got a pair in my suitcase back home. I can show them a little bit of a demo.
The UFC was last in Scotland in 2017, and prior to that, 2015. Do you have dreams of bringing the UFC to Scotland? Can you talk about that?
Dreams, admirations. This guy over here, Robert Whiteford, fought in the Hydro how many times? 3? 3 times. I can't believe it. I'm like, I fought in Vegas so many times. Like, the Hydro would just be, you know, the icing on the cake. You know, it'd be absolutely amazing. And, you know, after this big win, I'm definitely going to call for it.
Lastly, you touched on your future vision, right? You're focused on the fight here this weekend. But if you are so victorious, could you see yourself potentially looking for a rematch against Manuel Torres?
Definitely. You know, without going into details, there was obviously some issues with myself. I'm not going to I hate people who bring up an injury or bring up a thing that happened to them in camp. That's why they lost the fight. It was my decision to go into the fight, and I'll hold that. You know, I'll never use that as an excuse. So I would like to rematch him again, obviously, because he's got a win against me. But there was things that went on in that camp that probably I shouldn't have went into the fight. But it is what it is. You know, everybody cares about your wins. Nobody cares about your losses. So we just move on.
Fantastic. And lastly, Lang me your lumreek, sir.
I don't even know that one, and I'm Scottish.
I believe it means long may your chimney smoke.
Ah, okay.
There you go.
Okay.
It's a good wishes to you.
That is good wishes. Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Chris, just real quick, one more. Would love your thoughts on Ilya versus Justin, just being the relevancy of your division.
Oh, so, you know, a lot of people think Ilya is going to just steamroll through him with the power that he possesses, but, you know, any fighter who understands fighting understands that, you know, the crisp striker or the, for instance, you know, if you have a new guy come into the gym and he's a little bit unorthodox, it's really difficult to hit or land, or you get hit a little bit more than usual. And I think that's because of Justin Gaethje's awkward style could cause definite threats. And Justin Gaethje is one of my favourite fighters that's active right now. My favourite fighter of all time is Donald Cerrone, and then Justin Gaethje is obviously my favourite fighter live right now in the UFC. Thank you. Finished.
Morning.
Good morning, Virna. I thought you were going to maybe start this interview in English.
Eu já estava achando que você ia começar a entrevista em inglês já.
Not yet, but soon.
That's very good.
Thank you.
It's fight week, you know, big fight. How are you feeling? How was your preparation coming into this fight week?
Semana de luta começando, né? Uma luta importante. Como é que foi a tua preparação? Como é que está sendo a semana?
Eu tive uma preparação longa, na verdade. Eu soube da luta em janeiro, né? Então eu tive um bom tempo para me preparar, o que é muito bom. Eu gosto muito de lutar assim nessas condições, com um bom tempo para fazer meu camp. Tive um ótimo camp, sem lesões. Estou forte, feliz. Enfim, tem sido uma semana muito incrível também. Tudo ótimo.
Yeah, it was a fight that we knew with a good amount of time ahead of the actual fight. So by January, we already knew about the fight. So it was a long camp, but a good one. You know, no injuries, nothing outside of the plans, and it has been a great week here in Vegas.
And last time we saw you competing for the belt, and that fight didn't go in your way. But what was the initial steps after that? I could see where a lot of fighters might have went back and just like want to take a break from it. But how do you shake that off, and how do you refocus yourself and get back in there and start looking for what's the next step?
A última vez que a gente viu você, estava disputando o cinturão, né? Acabou que não foi para você a vitória, mas como que você recomeça, né? Depois da derrota na luta do cinturão, né? Você tirou um tempo para dar uma descansada, já quis voltar logo. Como é que estão os planos agora?
Então, eu tirei, eu acho que em torno de 15 dias, na verdade, para descansar, mas voltei logo em seguida. Eu sou muito bom em recomeços, né, na verdade, então é mais um recomeço. Estou bem, não me senti derrotada naquela luta. Eu sei que eu saí muito maior do que eu entrei, inclusive, na luta. Então, isso trazendo isso também, trazendo essa experiência do cinturão que eu venho para essa luta, com muito foco, com muita determinação e com muita vontade.
Yeah, it's a restart. Like that's something that I'm very used to and that I deal well with. So I only took a couple of weeks off, but you know now we're back on track. You know, with new focus, with new objectives and new attention to the game, and we're gonna start climbing our back in. I think that it was a fight where I came out of it bigger than I came in. You know, so overall, although I did end up losing the fight, I think that I gained a lot from the experience.
That's great. They give you the name Tabatha Ricci. Your initial thoughts on her? Where is she dangerous, and what are you expecting from her in this fight?
Pensando na sua oponente, a Tabatha Ricci, né? Como que você lê, né? Qual a leitura que você faz do jogo dela? Onde que você está vendo problemas? Onde que você está vendo vantagens?
Então, a Tabatha Ricci, ela é uma menina que mistura muito bem, na verdade, né? Ela faz um MMA muito bem, de uma forma muito fluida, né? Obviamente que eu me preparei, né, para essa luta, mas eu acho que esse é o ponto forte dela. Ela vem também de uma vitória, o que eu acho que pode trazer um hype para ela ali, enfim, talvez uma confiança maior, o que é muito bom também para a luta, porque eu sei que vai ser uma grande luta e enfim, tenho certeza que vai ser uma grande luta para o público e para mim.
Yeah, Tabatha is very good at MMA as a whole. She's very good at combining the different aspects of MMA, but I'm more than ready for it. I know that in some specifics, I'm probably going to have advantage over her, but her overall game is very fluid. You know, she's very good at it, the whole thing. But yeah, I think that she's at a different point in her career than mine. Maybe she's coming off a win, so maybe she has a little more confidence, which can be useful, maybe for me. But we'll see when fight comes.
And I know you said now you're in the process of restarting to work your way back up towards the top. Is a win enough on Saturday, or do you need to go out there and get a finish and really sort of set yourself back on the path, or is it just get a win and then we'll start working our way back?
Falando do recomeço, né, de se recolocar dentro da divisão ou dentro da corrida, você acha que uma vitória pura e simples já te coloca de volta nas conversas, ou você acha que você tem que ter uma vitória mais contundente, ter uma finalização, ter um nocaute para ser colocada de volta na conversa.
Eu estou pronta para disputar o cinturão a qualquer momento, mas obviamente que isso não depende só de mim. E sendo conservadora, eu acredito que, obviamente, que depende muito da performance, esse é um critério muito importante. Mas eu diria que com mais 2 vitórias, enfim, talvez eu possa estar disputando o cinturão novamente para ser conservadora, 2 ou 3 vitórias.
Yeah, being conservative, looking at how the division has been going, I believe that probably I would need a couple of wins to be able to be in contention again. So, got to do one at a time. Let's get this one out of the way, and then I can move forward.
And last for me, your keys to the victory. What needs to happen on Saturday to make sure that you get your arm raised in victory?
Quais são os pontos chaves para a vitória no sábado? O que você acha que tem que acontecer para você sair de lá com o braço levantado?
Eu acho que quando eu consigo me expressar bem, enfim, o meu jogo flui e é isso que eu preciso, na verdade. Me expressar com o máximo de mim mesma e, consequentemente, a luta ela é fantástica e a vitória vem.
Yeah, I think it's a lot about being able to express myself. If I'm able to express myself, I know that the game is going to flow, and then I'm going to put on a great performance. It's going to be a great fight for the fans, and that's what I need to do. As long as I'm able to express myself, things are going to come my way.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Quick one for me. You've been in the UFC for such a long time now, and I saw some comments that you made where you have some people are criticizing Charles Oliveira's performance, and maybe the UFC has become anti-grappling a little bit. Do you feel that as your career has progressed that the sport has changed, and maybe with the rankings and the way different fighters are viewed, that they've gone more anti-grappling?
Você deu uma entrevista essa semana, né, sobre a situação do Charles, né, sobre a questão talvez do ambiente dentro do UFC não ser mais tão pro-grappler como talvez já tenha sido em outros momentos, né, mas o que você tem a dizer, né, sobre essa situação toda, né? Você acha que mudou mesmo, né, o ambiente e a visão do evento em relação ao estilo de luta dos atletas, e como que você reage a isso, né?
Na verdade, eu não diria a respeito do estilo, né? Eu acho que definitivamente nós estamos na era do entretenimento, né? E muitas vezes o público ele não gosta da luta agarrada, né? E a respeito do Charles, eu acho que foi uma luta fantástica de excelência e eu realmente não. Quer dizer, eu sei de que ponto é que partem as críticas, mas não concordo, né? Porque eu acho que a gente está, nós estamos dentro do MMA, né? E enfim, são as artes marciais mistas e os grapplers também têm muito que oferecer, né? Tem muito que acrescentar e que eu acho que é definitivamente isso, oferecer de excelência, sabe? Nós temos grapplers de excelência e eu acho um desperdício, na verdade, a gente não aproveitar isso, enquanto público também, né?
Yeah, we are in an era of entertainment. That seems to be the main focus that we notice on the organization right now, and unfortunately, the audience might not be. I wouldn't say educated, but like used to the way that grappling works as much as they are with the striking. So it is a little bit harder, and I understand that side of things where, maybe someone is not able to understand the excellence of what we saw Charles doing on his fight, or how impressive things are done by some of the amazing grapplers that we have here. I understand where they come from, but I don't agree with it. But I think it's a bit of a waste, because we have so many extremely talented grapplers here, and some of them, they're just not appreciated, maybe because the public is not, aware of how grappling actually works, or don't have the understanding to actually appreciate what they're doing out there.
Thank you.
I have one question. What were your thoughts on the Macy Barber finish? We don't want to see things like that. It certainly scared me for a while. But do you think that was a reminder of how scary grappling and women's MMA really is, to see what happened?
Você deve ter visto o final da luta, né, da Alexa Grasso com o Macy Barber, né? Como que você se sentiu em relação àquele fim, né? E acho que lembrou um pouco, né, da periculosidade do esporte e até do grappling feminino ali, né, que foi parte do que criou aquela situação toda.
Não, definitivamente foi algo assustador, né? É incrível e assustador ao mesmo tempo, né? Por conta disso, do impacto mesmo, né? Do nocaute, etc. A Alexa foi incrível, foi um nocaute incrível, né? E, enfim, é isso, né? É MMA, estamos no MMA, né? E esse negócio é pra gente grande, definitivamente.
Yeah, it was as incredible, as impressive as it was scary. You know, it was a huge knockout followed by the quick grappling exchange that, you know, got into the submission, although, you know, Macy was knocked out already by the time she hit the ground. But, you know, it's just a reminder of, you know, this is a grown-ups game, you know. We're not really here to play, so you got to keep that in mind always, just to keep your guard up and remember that we're doing something very dangerous.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Welcome.
How's it going?
Good. Heading into this fight, this time with a full camp. How's that feel?
Feels good. I'm prepared above and beyond. It's been a long 2 months of hard training. So, yeah, whenever you get a full fight camp underneath you where you can game plan and specify what you think is going to happen, then all the better.
Coming off a movie-type scenario at Madison Square Garden, coming in as a huge underdog, putting the stop to the Malcolm Wellmaker hype train. Have you come down from those emotions? Has that affected your training at all in this camp?
Yeah, I've regulated pretty quickly. It has not affected my camp at all. You know, a fight is a fight. It differs every single time you get in there, and you must prepare to the utmost degree for each individual fight. So the hype was cool. It's fantastic. I am riding it. I am using it to build my brand and my name and to project myself in the rankings as quickly as possible. But I have a different opponent in front of me Saturday, and I have prepared above and beyond.
You get to prepare for him fully now. Is studying your opponents and watching film study part of that preparation?
Yeah, of course. I watch what he does. I take little intricacies. At the end of the day, you got to go in there and fight. You got to be able to adjust on the fly. That's one of the most important aspects of being a fighter, is that you can fine-tune, quickly adjust, and make the changes as they go along during the fight. So, of course, game plan, I see his little intricacies. I know what his game plan is going to be, but I am ready to get in there and fight all the same.
Yeah, after you got that win against Malcolm, you were pretty respectful, and he got a lot of criticism that it was a fraud check moment and that maybe you felt that took away from your win. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I don't think it's a fraud check by any means. You know, nobody on the larger scene, I don't want to say nobody, the majority of people didn't know who I was. People that have seen me fight, people that follow my career, my friends, my family, my coaches, they know exactly who I am, and we were very confident in what it is we were going to do. But it's not a fraud check. That guy's a very large individual for the weight class. He's very strong. He puts people out in a very savage fashion. So for me to go in there and did what I did, it just proves who I am, what I'm capable of, what I bring to the table, and that I'm a complete fighter. I'm ready for all of it. I'm a technical boxer, a striker. I'm a technical grappler. I'm a mixed martial artist. I'm the best at everything.
Yeah. And then just the last one from me. Did you get that Patrick Ewing New York Knicks jersey after your win at MSG?
Still waiting on that one.
Ethyn, right here. I know you said that in camp and your mentality, not much has changed, but just coming in short notice, getting a win like that, has any like sort of stardom hit you? Like, has your life changed at all? Either if it's just like fans coming up in the street more often, stuff like that?
Yeah, of course. People come up, you know, ask if I am who I am. Are you Ethyn Ewing? And take some pictures. Of course, you know, little things like that. Nothing drastic, and it's been cool. It's It's something I enjoy. It's something I worked very hard for. So though it's minor, it's there for sure.
And after the win, a video went viral, obviously, of you heading back to the construction site, everybody celebrating the win. So you still doing construction? Did you leave that behind? What's that looking like now?
I haven't been back to my main place of work. I had a baby boy December 14th, the following month from the fight. And so I went on leave. I talked to those guys. My boss and I are very cool. I actually went to a fight night with the vice president of the company pretty recently, and those guys are all on my team, so I haven't been back on site with them specifically. I've been training full-time. I do have my own personal safety company and business, so I take care of that where it needs to be taken care of. But right now, it's fighting, man. That's it. That's the number one.
And apologies for not knowing, but first kid?
Yes, first one.
Well, congrats, but also, like, how has that changed everything? I know having my own first kid not only changes perspective, but makes schedule and just life very difficult, especially, I imagine, with the UFC fight camp.
Certainly. A lot of extra effort, a lot of extra time spent. The moments that I think I get to come home and rest and relax, you know, the wife needs a break, and I'll take care of him, hold him for a second in between trainings. It's night and day difference. Like you said, everything is harder. He's a little monster, so he's trying to grab, and he's already rolling around, and he's already doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So it's a heightened level of effort and such, but it's the greatest thing I've ever done. It's probably the greatest thing I'll ever do. Madison Square Garden is cool, but having that little baby boy at home is that much better.
Thank you.
We talked about the short notice prior to the Malcolm Wellmaker fight. I was wondering if you could expand upon the differences in your two UFC experiences. Obviously, a very short preparation for that fight. This time we have a full fight camp. You talk about being prepared, obviously. Talked about not being on the job site anymore, so you can dedicate probably a little more time. But can you dive in a little deeper as to some of the advantages that you're experiencing in this second experience you have?
Yeah, the preparation, not going back to the job site. You guys saw what I did working 8 hours a day, waking up at 4 a.m., leaving the house by 5 a.m., working all day, sitting in traffic on the way back from LA, and then training all night, not getting home till 10 p.m. to see my wife. So now just imagine what you guys are going to see when I'm training 3 times a day. There's nothing besides waking up and going to training, taking care of the family. That's the only thing on my mind. You guys are going to see a large difference in control, in composure, and performance.
Nice. And you had alluded to the rankings in an earlier answer here. With a win this weekend, that would be 2 victories over 2 undefeated, touted prospects. Do you think that a win this weekend can put you into possible contention for a ranked fight?
Yeah, 100%. Especially if I go out there and I do what I'm supposed to do, and I do what I know I'm going to go out there and do. You know, if I go out there and finish this guy in spectacular fashion, which is always the game plan, I am the professor finesser because I like to do it with finesse. I like to make it look easy. I like to make it artistic, and I like to go in there and show how much more technical I am and that my technical prowess is on a different level. So I go in there, I do my job, I clock in, right? I'm putting 8 hours on this stuff now, not anywhere else. So I go in there, I do my thing. Of course, I think there's certainly a chance that that's the next move that the UFC comes and puts in front of me.
Lastly, what type of a trajectory do you see yourself on in this UFC journey of yours? Obviously, you're already thinking about a potential ranked fight. Where do you see yourself rising up the ranks in the future?
Like I said, I do it with finesse. So my plan is to come in here, show how much better I am than each opponent that I face every single time, and I'm gunning for that belt. That's the end goal. It's fresh on my mind. It's the only thing I care about is that I achieve the championship and I become the champion myself.
Welcome.
Hi.
Big fight coming up, co-main event. Does this feel like the biggest fight of your career heading in?
Well, I feel every fight is the biggest fight of my career so far. Yeah.
This one has some stakes attached to it, though, right? A little crowded at the top of your division. What do you make of if you go out there and get a performance? You're right in that title discussion, I would assume, right?
Yeah, that's what I want. I'm gonna go vicious as I can, try get my best performance of the night, and get my challenge for the belt.
Yeah, we just had your opponent in here, and I think I saw some back and forth on social media based on some comments you made about the sport needing to be more entertaining and going away from grappling. And she said, that people still need to recognize that MMA grappling is part of it, and it's not all about excitement.
I don't remember saying that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I say anything.
So what are your thoughts on that? Because she's obviously been in the UFC longer, and I think her thoughts are that, Charles had a lot of criticism for his performance not being a BMF type performance against Max Holloway, and that grappling is being frowned upon by the general public. What are your sentiments on that?
I never say anything bad about jiu-jitsu. I think I come from the grappling. That's my background. Judo, jiu-jitsu. I love the grappling, and I really support the jiu-jitsu on the division. I don't know where this come from, but I don't have nothing bad to say about the jiu-jitsu and the grappling. I just feel that the people that don't understand much about martial arts, when the fight stays in stand-up, it's better for the people that don't know what's going on to watch it as a spectator. But if you're a jiu-jitsu player and the fight goes to the ground, it's very exciting for me because I know what's going on. Right. I don't know the people that don't know, but when the fight goes to the ground, like Charlie's always showing you incredible MMA grappling, it's really exciting for me. Yeah.
What did you make of Charles' performance? Because like I said, there was a lot of discourse online. I think it was because the BMF title was attached to it that they were hoping that he would stand and trade. But obviously he was able to put on a dominant performance, correct?
Yeah, it was an amazing performance, and he shows a beautiful grappling, match, and beautiful takedowns and ground control, all that. I think was beautiful, especially for us Brazilian. We are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so that was a big one for us. Yeah.
Yep, you do come from that grappling background that you mentioned, feel very comfortable on the ground.
Yep.
I think what Virna was saying is that she feels like maybe there's a change in MMA, that fighters maybe feel more pressure to get those finishes. There now are finish bonuses for every fight. Do you feel as your career as a martial artist has evolved that pressure has kind of become more and more to get those finishes in these big moments?
I think the pressure is always there. Everybody wants to get a finish. I'm not going to force anything. I don't think nobody has to, If you put a hard work in, if you train hard, you'll be there. You just gotta believe.
Yep. And then last one for me, in your division, obviously Mackenzie's at the top there. Weili is probably going to get a shot. How do you see that one playing out?
Yeah, I do think Weili, of course, I don't know if she's gonna retire, but if she do, she probably wants to retire as a champ. So she do deserve to have a title shot back. So we see how it's gonna be. I'm just focus on my fight and be ready.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Over here. So obviously you talked about with the victory here this weekend, you'd love to have a title shot, as would any fighter. If that is not in the cards, would you be open to a rematch against Yan Xiaonan or Lupi Godinez, or maybe even possibly a fight against Jillian Robertson?
Yeah. Any fight, anytime. Whatever takes me close to my goals, I'll be willing to do it. You're all set.
Testing 1, 2, 3, go birds.
It's fight week. You're just a few days outside of your fight. How are you feeling and how was your preparation for this fight?
Semana de luta, faltam poucos dias para a tua luta. Como é que você está sentindo? Como é que foi a preparação para essa?
Estou me sentindo muito bem, estou me sentindo preparado. Deus tem um caminho e uma hora certa para todo mundo e eu sinto que essa é a hora certa.
I'm feeling great, feeling prepared. I think God has a path and a timing for everything, and I feel this is the right time.
Is Ethyn a guy that's been on your radar before? And he recently came in here, got short notice fight, and took a fighter's O away. You're coming in with an O still attached. Is this a guy that's been on your radar? And if you did watch his past performance, what did you think about that last performance of his?
O Ethyn é um cara que teve no teu radar, porque é um cara que veio do nada, teve uma grande performance, tirou aquele 0 do placar lá de um lutador. Você tem um 0 do lado do teu nome. É um cara que preocupa. Como é que você vê ele como lutador?
Com certeza, né? Um cara que preocupa, um cara muito bom, forte, atlético. Só que eu estou também preparado para manter a minha invencibilidade. Eu sou um cara que eu treino muito, sou um cara duro e espero a minha vitória, né? Mais uma vez e seguir invicto.
Yeah, I mean, talking about a really good guy, strong, athletic. But again, I'm me. I put a lot of work into this. Feel like I'm strong and tough as well, and you know what I do.
I was going to say you don't get to 14-0 without doing something right. So I guess what has been your keys to success, and how have you been able to keep that undefeated record?
Você não chega a 14 vitórias, nenhuma derrota, obviamente por acaso. Então, o que você fez ao longo da tua carreira para chegar nesse momento e continuar a manter invicto como você está?
Não, com certeza a gente não chega, né? Não pode ser um acidente, não pode ser por acaso. É muitos dias de treino, muitos dias sem sono, é muita fé, muito joelho no chão e, cara, nada vem fácil, a gente tem que correr atrás, buscar o melhor sempre. E, com certeza eu paguei o preço e hoje estou colhendo os frutos e ainda vou pagar o preço de muito mais, que eu quero seguir invicto por muito tempo.
I know for sure that's not something that happens by accident or by chance. I've put in a lot of work, made a lot of sacrifice, I've struggled, I've fallen down many times. But I pay the price, and I was able to actually make things work. So, and I was able to reap what I sowed, right? And just to harvest the fruit of that work. And I think that I plan on paying a lot more of that price, and keep collecting and the rewards of it for even a longer time. Continue to be undefeated in this sport.
I'm not sure if you're a fighter that pays attention to the odds. Coming into this fight, you're actually a slight underdog in this fight. Is that something that you pay attention to? Does that give you extra fire? Or is that something that doesn't even enter your brain when you go into a fight?
Não sei se você é um lutador que olha na bolsa de aposta ou algo assim, mas você começou, quando a luta foi colocada nas casas de aposta, você começou com um pouquinho com um azarão. Uma coisa que você presta atenção, uma coisa que você vê, uma coisa que você está atento para essas coisas?
Então, eu até sei, né? Querendo ou não, chega até mim. São números, né? Números, a gente está aí vendo que muitos números são quebrados, né? Eu não me importo também, né? Eu me importo em treinar bastante forte, chegar na hora e sair com mais uma vitória. E é isso que importa para mim.
Well, that stuff, I'm aware. That stuff gets to me. The information comes to my attention. I think it's a number, and these numbers are meant to be, dissected and broken. And believe me, we're going to put on a performance to get that done.
And you've had a lot of experience here at the UFC Apex. I'm sure you'd like to see yourself fight maybe in T-Mobile Arena or somewhere else. Are you hoping that the UFC, with a nice definitive win this weekend, do you hoping the UFC maybe puts you on a card with maybe more crowd facing, maybe in one of the arenas possibly?
Você é um cara que está acostumado agora a já lutar aqui no Apex, mas imagino que você quer lutar numa arena, de repente uma T-Mobile Arena aqui aqui em Las Vegas. Você imagina que com uma vitória convincente, uma vitória que mande uma mensagem para todo mundo, eles coloquem você num evento, numa arena?
Então, eu não me preocupo muito com isso, não ligo. Lógico, é muito bom lutar numa arena, com o público, o calor da torcida, mas para mim tanto faz, pode me colocar no Apex, pode me colocar na qualquer lugar, que eu vou sempre dar meu melhor, vou lutar, e é isso, buscar a vitória todo momento.
I'm a guy that actually pays a lot of attention to that stuff. Like, listen, it's great. It would be great to fight, with the warmth of the fans and having all that. But listen, wherever they put me to fight, wherever it is, whoever it is I put me fight against, I'll be right there.
And if you could, just give me your thoughts on the overall bantamweight division. How strong is the division, and what do you think a win here does for you within the division?
Se você puder, por favor, o que você acha de uma maneira geral de como que tá o peso galo nesse momento? O que você vê agora que você está entrando para essa? Assim, qual é o panorama da categoria para você?
O panorama é uma categoria muito exigente, né? Onde os atletas são altamente capacitados. Todos os atletas são excelentes strikers, excelentes grappling. Então, cara, eu estou entrando no bolo, eu me vejo ali entrando no bolo e sempre buscando o melhor lugar, né? Eu quero ser campeão, eu desejo ser campeão. Cada passo devagar, conquistando minha vitória após vitória. Então, é isso que eu vejo. Difícil, mas é possível.
The outlook of the division that we're talking about, obviously a place with, it's a very demanding division with highly qualified athletes. You have people that are some very good strikers, a lot of tough grappling over there. And I see myself as, again, it's tough, it's a challenge, but I see it as possible, working little by little, just climbing up the ladder, step by step, and making my name in there.
How many more wins until you think you see that number after your name?
Quantas vitórias mais você acha que vai ver número ranqueado nos galos para você?
Eu subi de categoria agora, né? Eu não vejo assim eu não estou com tanta pressa, né? Eu quero a minha vitória agora, quero fazer mais luta dentro do UFC e consequentemente ser um cara ranqueado, né? Nem que seja 2, 3, 4, 6, mas eu pretendo ser ranqueado com certeza. Mas é o que eu falei, uma luta de cada vez, cada atleta, cada luta é a mais importante, então é isso que eu almejo.
Not in a rush. I understand. I just came up, right? I can see myself maybe like for this, again, it's very slowly, not rushing into anything, but I can see myself like 2, 4, 6 fights in, and going and climbing up the rankings. But against I understand my place, and I know that I'll have to put in some work to do it.
And then looking at Saturday, what are your keys to the victory? What needs to happen to make sure that you get your arm raised on Saturday?
E no sábado, chaves para a vitória. O que você precisa fazer para ter o teu braço levantado?
Cara, eu sou forjado nas adversidades, tanto em cima como embaixo. Sou um cara que eu treino em cima e embaixo. Sou um cara que se precisar trocar, a gente vai trocar. Se precisar botar para baixo, vai ser botado para baixo. Então, independente do que vai acontecer, é buscando a vitória o tempo todo para frente, caminhando. E no final, meu braço erguido.
I'm forged in adversity. We train very hard, whether it's, standing, meaning if we need to stand in exchange, we'll do it. Whether it's going to the ground, we'll be ready to do that and impose our ground game. Whatever it is, we're ready for all adversity and all the challengers, and we're ready to do whatever needs to be done on Saturday.
Obrigado.
One quick one for me about life outside the octagon. I watched an interview yesterday with Lance Gibson, who just got a big win in Seattle this past weekend. He, outside of the octagon, he's a beekeeper. I see that you're also do some beekeeping outside of the octagon, and you say that it's your release. Can you talk to us about how you got into that and how you kind of use that as a release when you're not fighting?
Vamos falar de coisas fora do octógono, fora daqui. Eu não sei se você viu a luta no final de semana em Seattle, mas o Lance Gibson que ganhou, ele tinha uma entrevista dele recentemente que ele fala que ele cuida de abelhas. E aparentemente você também. E ajuda a dar uma relaxada. Ele falou que para ele ajuda a tirar ele um pouco desse mundo, é uma coisa que ele gosta, cuidar. E parece que você também lida com abelhas. E esqueci a palavra aqui. Como é que é apicultura? É apicultura? Só estava tentando. É apicultura mesmo. A apicultura. Você é um apicultor. Isso É verdade? Como é que é isso? Isso ajuda você a dar uma relaxada, a esquecer um pouquinho esse mundo?
Com certeza, I love beer, né? Então, eu sou um cara que eu gosto muito da natureza, sou um cara que eu sempre tive contato, né? Tanto com cavalo, galinha e abelha, né? Então, isso tem sido para mim uma terapia, né? Muitos não sabem, mas em 2024 eu não lutei, eu tive um tumor, onde eu fiz 2 cirurgias e onde eu tive que repensar na minha carreira, na minha vida, o que seria. Então, eu me intensifiquei na apicultura, né? Mexer com abelha, e tem sido uma terapia maravilhosa para mim, né? Onde eu me sinto conectado com a natureza. É uma coisa que me faz ser necessário, né? Então, a abelha para mim tem sido uma terapia muito boa e eu amo o jeito que elas vivem, eu amo o jeito que elas têm uma hierarquia, se forma, então é maravilha.
Yeah, I love bees, as you saw. Apiculture, is that what you get? That? Yeah. Fascinating for me. I grew up on that. I grew up on horses, chickens, bees, and I think it's been therapy for me. For many of you, if you don't know, I actually, had to go through take off a tumor back in 2024. A very tough time for me, and I actually dedicated myself to it. It brings me peace, release. I like just the way how things are. Just I love nature. I love the way that they build, a natural hierarchy, and just like there's a order and peace in there. So I just love the things, and it makes me relaxed, and it helps me out.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
So we touched upon the fact that entering into this fight, you are a slight underdog. As an undefeated fighter, as a dedicated professional, do you feel disrespect from that number? You've mentioned that it needs to be challenged, it needs to be broken, but do you feel disrespected? Does that offer any extra motivation to you, or do you feel that there's something extra to prove based on that number?
A gente falou sobre o fato de você ter começado como um azarão, que isso não te incomoda, que você, obviamente, você sabe que é um desafio, que esses números precisam ser quebrados, mas você sente desrespeitado com isso? Isso incomoda você, o fato que eles colocam você, um cara, né, numa posição que você está invicto, tantas vitórias com azarão?
Eu vejo isso muito pelo fato de mudar de categoria, né? Então, estava no Mosca, vou para o Galo, então pode ter um pouco de relação. Querem me provar, querem ver como é que eu vou sair, então eu vejo isso super normal, mas tendo em vista também que muitas casas de apostas, muitas pessoas que apostam estão apostando em mim, né, como vitorioso, então eu vejo muito meio a meio. Lógico, isso é uma coisa que não é normal para uma pessoa que está vindo de 14-0, né, uma pessoa invicta, mas também tem que olhar o outro lado, um cara duro. Não me abala, não estou nem aí, não estou ligando. Eu quero mostrar só no sábado, e depois do sábado vocês vão ter outra percepção do que é o Rafael Macapá.
I think it's a natural thing when actually you're moving up in the division. You don't know what to expect from the guy that moves up. But I saw it as well. There's some people are betting on me. Some people are believing on me as well. The bets have come for me as an underdog. So I think that it's natural to wait for something like that whenever you come into a new division. And after on Saturday, there will be no doubts, and you know exactly who Rafael Macapá is.
Thank you.
Acabou?
Thank you, guys.
Money Moicano.
What's up?
How are we feeling? Happy fight week.
Thank you. Very good. Feeling good.
No podcast, lack of social media. You seem very focused and dialed in. Tell me about this. Has this been beneficial?
Yeah, like last year was not that good for me. 2025, I lost 2 fights in a row. And then I was scheduled to fight Ortega, a fight that I lost. So since last year, I've been focused on fighting. So I kind of took a little bit time off social media. So I think that was beneficial for my training camp.
And Chris Duncan was in here. He said you guys actually trained under the same roof for this fight camp. I said you guys even went as far as sharing a sauna together. So what was that like, actually training in the same building as your opponent?
Yeah, it was a little bit different, you know, because I never thought that I would fight somebody from American Top Team, but it happens. And then I just have to be cordial, you know, respectful. I respect him. I don't have nothing against him. I just want to win, you know. I want to win that fight. And I have no bad blood at all. So, but don't get me any wrong. I go over there to finish him.
He said pretty much the same, that it's all respect. A fight's a fight, but afterwards, you know, back to being very cordial. And I assume, in your mind, this is a must-win, but is it the most must-win so far? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Probably. You know, I'm coming off 2 losses in a row. I think last time that I was in this situation was when I lost to Korean Zombie and Jose Aldo. And that was very hard for me, so definitely I need to win right now.
And Chris said when he started at ATT, you used to give him the work grappling. He remembers that. Is there anything you can take away from your guys' training for this fight? I don't need specifics, but just in general.
Not really, because that was such a long time, you know. I'm not really trained with him for a long time, so I watch his fights in UFC. He got way better on the grappling, so I'm not disrespecting him at all, you know. I'm not thinking it's going to be easy. It's UFC, man. You know, every fight is a challenge, and I think Chris Duncan is a challenge.
They call you Money Moicano. This is your first fight with the new bonus structure. Is that something you're excited for?
Yeah, of course. You know, 100K gonna be beneficial, gonna be good. But at the same time, I feel like I have to win, you know. I'm not thinking too much on the bonus. I'm thinking on the winning.
And then you might shut me down here too, which is fine. But afterwards, Ortega fight still possible? Any thought about that?
Of course, I would like to fight Ortega 100%.
I guess last for me, so, just one quick one for me. I know you just mentioned you've disconnected for this fight camp. Not sure if you saw the news the last couple hours, but Bitcoin has experienced a big crash. It's trading at under $200. Can I get your immediate reaction?
Let me check the price.
It is also, yeah, check it out. It's also April 1st.
No, it's good.
It's
yeah.
also April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day.
No, it was good. I checked this morning, it was okay, you know. To be honest, it fall like 50% of
It's April Fool's Day,
yeah.
So I thought that I could get you.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned, I know you want to come in here and you want to get a win. And do the 2 losses coming in here, does that add any extra pressure? Are you the kind of guy that you've always faced forward, you're always focused forward? Is that the kind of stuff that weighs on the mind? Does that add any extra pressure, you know, coming into this particular fight?
Yes, of course. I'm coming off 2 losses, like I say. It's never good lose. It's fucking terrible, you know. But it's so good when you win. So I want to get that feeling of winning again, you know, especially in the main event. So 100% that adds pressure.
With that being said, it's got to have show you some confidence that the UFC has in you to still tap you to headline this event coming in with 2 losses. Does that give you a little confidence in what the UFC thinks about you and what you bring to a fight week?
I don't know. I don't think too much about that. One thing that is for sure is UFC is the best on what they do, you know. They just closed a deal with Paramount, $1 billion. So I think they know how to handle business. And I'm not in a position to to say what is wrong and what is good. But for me, it's good. Like I feel that's a good place to be, like in a main event again.
And I know you're a fight analyst. You've called fights. If you had to break down and talk about Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, how's that fight going to play out, and who do you see winning that fight?
That's funny because last time that I watched Gina Carano was against Cyborg, right? Long time ago. I don't even remember her style. And Ronda Rousey at one point was the name of women's MMA before she lost, right, to Holly Holm. So it's an interesting fight. I think probably Ronda has the edge.
Is calling fights and doing more commentary something that you hope to do more of in the future?
100%. I don't know if I'm good enough to do in English. I've been doing in Portuguese, but I want to be I don't know if my English, like if there is a barrier of English, you know, how can a broken English guy be in the commentating? But that's something that I love, that I would love.
I think I saw one of you called a show for, I think it was CFFC. It was very colorful language. I think that's the best part about your commentary is the colorful language.
Yeah, I love like commentating for CFFC. It was great, and people love it, man. On the X Twitter, everybody was giving compliments, saying that I was good. Because look, I am a fighter, but I am a fan too. So, and I have the experience. It's like the fighters that go from fighting to commentate, like Paul Felder in DC. So I know what I'm seeing. I just try to be a little bit more funny.
And I know we talked a little bit about, this ATT doesn't want to fight other guys in ATT, but it's such a big gym. You have so many talented guys. What is the overall feeling at the gym when you got fighters that are coming in there, and they're watching? They both look at you as inspirations, I'm sure. But there is a serious part that someday you might fight another one of these guys in the gym. So, like, what do you tell, and how do you talk to that to other fighters, their trainers at the gym, and about how this might happen?
Yeah, I think the gym, they always try to avoid this situation. So I think Dan Lambert and all the coaches, they want to avoid as much as possible, because it's not good, like people from the gym fighting. And that's not the best scenario. But sometimes you have to do that because you don't have any option. And I mean, like in a career mode, I've been 1 year out, and they give me this opportunity for the main event, and at the same time, Chris Duncan wants to be in the rankings, so I think it was a beneficial for everybody, but not for the gym. And to the fighters, I say, you don't want to fight another guy for your gym, but that could happen. We never know. We never know. Like in ATT, you have like Kyoji Horiguchi and Pantoja, and I think they are the best in 125, and I think eventually they're going to fight each other. So it is what it is. Of course, it's not the same situation between me and Duncan, but it is what it is. Sometimes you have to fight your teammates.
And it's tough. I know, like this, you want to get back on the win column, but this is somebody that's from your gym. So is a win enough to just kind of get this, or are you still going to go out there and you're going for a definitive finish, one to get you back on the win column in a good fashion?
Yeah, no, if I can finish 100%, this is 5 rounds. I don't get paid by the minute, So if I go over that finishing in the first round, I will make money regardless. So I'm not trying to go to a decision, but I'm ready to go to a decision too.
And last for me, I know you said you pay attention to the stocks. It's probably a nice distraction, even though the stock market hasn't been great. Are you still a big, firm believer in crypto for all the people out there?
Yes, but I would not say crypto. I would say Bitcoin because it was the first. But I do believe that all the protocols, they have like, they are tools and they are good, like USDT, like Tether. Like if you want to transfer money really fast, there is no better way than through USDT. And if you like that stuff, you know, even the government know that, right? With the Genius Act, and they're gonna get so much value in money off this USDT because they are backed by bonds, right? By American bonds. So I think that's gonna strain the market in USA, and I think the government knows that. So crypto is not something that will go away any soon. And Bitcoin, believe me or not, is in a sale right now, you know? Like he was saying, Bitcoin crash, and it really did. Not today, but since last year. So I have been buying a lot of stuff. This is not financial advising, but let me tell you something. If something that I truly believe, it is one day Bitcoin gonna hit $1 million. I don't know when, though.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
I have a question. Moicano, what's up? How are you?
What's up, brother?
You have an iconic speech post-fight saying you wanted to kill the bad guys. Just so you know, I've been to war. I'm a combat vet, and veterans, we love you. My question is, first, we would take you if war came. We would love to have you. Have you worked with any of the veterans or the veteran community in Florida, and have you thought about doing that to help bring some of these guys out of the hole that they're in?
Man, let me tell you something. I have so much respect for soldiers and for the veterans, you know, and what everything they do. Especially in jiu-jitsu and like MMA community, you have a lot of veterans and people that are police officers too, and like law enforcement. And I respected them so much because in the end of the day, people don't realize how important it is somebody to take care of you, of your family, and that's what the military and the police officers do. I'm not saying that I'm agree with every war, because every war had different reasons, political reasons, and I don't believe the politicians, they have the best interest for the population sometimes. So sometimes I feel they just want to get power, they just want to get elected again. So sometimes we pay, and the American lives are paid because of the government. But I have a huge respect for veterans, and I never had the opportunity to go to a place like that, to know the veterans, but I pay my respect to them.
Thank you.
You've had a long career in the UFC. Your first fight was just over 11 years ago in your home country of Brazil. You were on the prelims. You earned a submission victory. You've headlined multiple cards. You've challenged for the lightweight title. I'd like to hear you talk a little bit about some of the highlights from your careers. What are some of your favorite moments during these past 11 years?
I think my favorite moment was my debut, you know, because if you're watching this, if you're a kid, if you don't know that you could, and if you want to be UFC fighter, I never thought that I would get the job, you know. I never thought that I would be able to be in UFC. And I remember my first day, they called me a week's notice, and I said, man, that's the best day of my life, my debut. And after that was in France against Benoit Saint-Denis, main event, and I finished in like technical knockout on the second round, and that was very happy. That was a highlight of my career too. But so many. I remember like Madison Square Garden too, when I talked to Joe Rogan. I love every fight, even the ones that I lost, you know. I believe in God, and I believe in stuff happens for a reason. Maybe we just don't know the reason, but then a couple years later, you're going to know why your career play out like that. So, man, I'm a fan of UFC, and all the moments in the UFC, I remember with a good memories.
So you train in the same gym with your opponent, Chris Duncan. I would imagine that you're fairly familiar with him. Can you tell us what you believe some of his greatest strengths are, and how do you plan to neutralize, how do you plan to overcome his strengths?
I think he's a very good striker, power on his punches, and he has a very good guillotine and Darce chokes, anaconda chokes, so he's very good at submission people. So I have to avoid that. I have to punch him in the face several times, pull him down, ground and pound him, and finish it. It's easy said than done, but that's what I have to do.
Now, coming off of two straight losses, as mentioned, a win this weekend really keeps you right in the mix, in the top 10. And realistically, how many fights do you think it would take to find yourself back again in title contention, and what are your hopes?
Really depends. Really depends who I fight next. So I have to do my job. I have to go over there, finish the fight, and then see what happens, you know? Because a win changes everything, you know? I lost too, but a win changes everything. The way people look at you. So I just need to keep doing my job.
Last question. Obviously, we have great respect for our opponents. Obviously, every fighter is dangerous. But I have to ask you one question. Is this easy money or not so easy money?
man, it's not easy money, you know, not easy money. I respect him a lot, and I know that he's good because we trained him before. So not easy money at all.
I've got one more. Just curious. What are your thoughts on Mike Perry and Nate Diaz throwing down?
That's an interesting one, you know. That's going to be boxing or MMA?
I believe it's going to be MMA. Yeah.
I think Nate Diaz probably, you know. Probably Nate Diaz better jiu-jitsu, but he having been in the cage for a long time, in the ring for a long time, especially with MMA. It's going to be a tricky one, but definitely I'm going to watch.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.